Hey everyone, Professional Dingus here again. If I haven't made it clear in my videos already, I'm a big fan of the man himself, Mr. Wes Anderson. Fantastic Mr. Fox was one of my comfort movies, and like I mentioned in my Comfort Foods vid, a movie I knew I would love forever since 8 years old. On top of that, many of Wes's other movies are some of my favorite movies in general. So in the first of my 2 Wes Anderson videos this month, I want to talk about what is in my opinion one of the more underrated aspects of Wes's style. His shootouts. I don't think many people in the film industry have as much fun as Wes Anderson does when it comes to filming action. I want to break down what makes Wes Anderson's shootouts so amazing to me, and hopefully in the process be able to teach you, yes, you young filmmakers, how to film a shootout like Wes Anderson. So your short film, or student art film, or class project, or whatever the hell you want can look just like a Wes Anderson movie. Got it? Alright, let's do this thing. So the first thing you know about Wes Anderson shootouts is that guns pretty much never run out of ammo. Most action movies make a point to show their characters reloading, and some of the better ones are even praised for the accuracy of how many bullets are fired before they have to reload. A lot of action movies will even use the amount of ammo left as a point of tension, with characters worrying if they can get the job done with how many bullets they have left in their gun. This is not a problem in most Wes Anderson movies, as characters never seem to have to stop firing. Grand Budapest Hotel has one of the most infamous examples of this, as like 20 dudes just fire non-stop across the hotel room. Although the scene does technically start with Dimitri reloading, that's only to give time so the other people can start popping up, and not another person is seen reloading on screen for the rest of the scene or the movie as they continue to just fire away. In Fantastic Mr. Fox, we can see this again in just how many bullets they fire. I mean, yeah, they reload again, but that was only to signal that Mr. Fox was gone. My boy Bogus got 8 shots out of this double barrel, so who really knows how many bullets he's holding in there? Reloading in Wes Anderson movies only happens to serve narrative purposes. If the story didn't require it, the characters would probably never have to reload or lay off each other. Fantastic Mr. Fox proves this later in the movie as the men reload after firing for a bit, and then proceed to fire non-stop for the next 30 seconds. My last example is The Life Aquatic. Of course I can't play the fight in its entirety for copyright reasons, but Steve Zissou gets like 50 bullets out of this pistol before he has to dead it. In order to make your action scenes more like Wes, remember those guns only need to be reloaded when the story absolutely requires it. The second step in making a Wes Anderson shootout is making sure you really don't show much killing on screen. Of course, characters do die in Wes Anderson movies, but rarely at the hands of a gun, and especially rarely do we see the gun actually kill them. Despite the unlimited ammo, and as I'm about to discuss later, the insane trigger finger of these people, basically nobody gets harmed. The best way I can explain how little people get killed or even hurt from shootouts in Wes Anderson movies is by looking at the shootouts in Grand Budapest Hotel and Fantastic Mr. Fox again. Both of these only amount to a total casualty amount of Mr. Fox's tail being lost, which he even gets back. I'd guess roughly 500 bullets or so for one tail. Only twice do I see this rule of Wes's being broken, once being the one hit of the 50 bullets shot by Steve Zissou in Life Aquatic, and the other being the man shot in The French Dispatch, who isn't even shot on screen, so it's more of a technicality here. The scene directly following that in The French Dispatch, they go back to shooting like stormtroopers too. Although most mainstream action movies don't go out of their way to show close-up killing or bunch blood, some Marvel movies are showing more blood than Wes Anderson movies. Even in Wes's least whimsical and out there movie, Bottle Rocket, the only shot is an accident that isn't even really shown hitting the guy. So remember, up the ammo, but rarely do we need to see those bullets connect. So despite that last point, Wes Anderson characters love to shoot their guns. The third step is that characters are trigger happy as hell. The Grand Budapest Hotel is once again the best example of this, as this whole floor of the hotel doesn't need any more motivation other than hearing gunfire to start letting loose. I mean, it really seems like they don't need a reason to shoot, more a reason not to most times. These are just guys being dudes to the fullest extent, just having fun. I mean, they have no real beef with Zero, but the second he starts moving, they start firing away again. Like I also mentioned earlier in Fantastic Mr. Fox, these dudes waste about 300 or so bullets trying to kill one small fox. And prior to that, they were ripping into Mr. Fox in the group. Same with the police and criminals in The French Dispatch. Most all of the Wes Anderson characters in the films I've mentioned tend to follow the don't need a reason to shoot but one not to thought process. And if you think I'm wrong, look at what all of them do the second they get their hands on a gun. Unless we're talking about the ending of Hot Fuzz or like John Wick, most characters don't fire non-stop unless they have to. It's usually a do or die scenario. Like I mentioned earlier, most modern action characters actually try their best to be conservative with bullets and most of the time make sure not to waste any. but Wes Anderson characters would seem to rather die than stop shooting. Like I said, ammo doesn't seem to be a consistent issue though, so I understand why they don't see a reason to lay off the trigger. In order to make a Wes Anderson gun scene, either buy a shit ton of fake bullets, or prepare to spend a few hours of overtime in After Effects. Step 4 kinda goes along with step 3, but people in Wes Anderson movies stay strapped. Going back to my favorite example of the Grand Budapest Hotel, that whole floor keeps the strap on them. I mean, as far as I could tell, it's only the top floor, but still, that entire floor was ready, and not just the same handgun. They got a variety, they got rifles, and if I'm not wrong, I think somebody in the back might be firing some form of explosive too. Like I mentioned for Fantastic Mr. Fox, they sent 12 dudes with a gun for a fox, so imagine how they deal with real threats. And this is an interesting crop of men to all own guns. I guess you could say Mr. Bean provided them, but to you I say this is my video, so please respectfully piss off. Although when someone like John Wick or Batman is fighting people, they typically also all have guns. We're talking about trained criminals and mob bosses here, not the local reporter or your neighbor at the Holiday Inn. I mean, look at how many guns they go through testing in Bottle Rocket. Even that little dude in Moonrise Kingdom has a gun on him. I called him that little dude, but of course I know who Jarod is. Us Jared's gotta stick together, man. But the point is, Wes keeps all of his characters prepared for whoever or whatever Glock may be around the corner. Make sure everybody from your grizzled war hero to your local news reporter is packing. Action is undoubtedly one of the most popular movie genres today, and has stayed that way for a while for a reason. Even if we aren't talking about the specific genre of action, action is in a lot of our other movies these days. It's something I routinely see praised when done right. We praise action scenes for how real they look or how little cuts they have, but I don't think my man Wes gets enough credit for not only making consistently good action, but also making action like nobody else in Hollywood is. Not many other directors have been able to match the consistent quality of Wes's style, or even just straight up copy his style despite their best efforts to. Wes has a talent for world building and aesthetic that no other director can match, and Wes's gunfights only add to the world that he's building in each movie. It shows how in every detail, Wes is meticulous about building that world of his own design, a world that we get to peer into, even if just for a few hours. As always, thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and go watch some Wes Anderson movies.